Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله عز وجل وأحسن الحديث حديث محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة في الإسلام بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah Azza wa Jal. We praise Him and we extol Him and we seek refuge in Allah from evil within ourselves and evil results of our wrong actions. Whomsoever Allah guides could be never left astray in misguidance. Whomsoever Allah allows to be left astray, and there is no guide for that individual. Verily, the most truthful of speech is the book of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and the finest guidance is that of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the most evil of affairs are the newly invented ones, bid'ah, innovation. And every innovation in the deen of Islam is a going astray. And every going astray leads to the hellfire. As what follows, O you who believe, ittaqullah, have the consciousness of Allah, and always speak a word that is true. As a result, Allah Azza wa Jal, He will rectify our affairs and forgive us of our sins. And whosoever obeys Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger has indeed achieved a firm handhold. Amma ba'd. Today, as I stand here to address you all, as we all know, there are many issues that are facing the global population. There are issues that are facing us as Muslimin, specifically. Some issues are facing our Muslim community overseas, like in Palestine, which when we speak about those things, people say that's their issue, that's their situation. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. First of all, I'd like to say that when we hear about a situation that's affecting any person in general, that is dhulm, this is not something that is pleasing to Allah Ta'ala. the situation that's affecting our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and how they're changing the name. They want to call it something other than the name that was originated by the people of that land. For us to sit quietly and say that that's not our problem, that's their problem, the least thing that we can do is say, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. If we see dhulam, we hear about dhulam, we don't appreciate dhulam. And we don't just wave it off as if it didn't exist or it's not our problem. This is a situation that is existing right now. There are situations, there are issues that are affecting our community here in this part of the world. So for us to say that that's their problem and we have our own problems, it shows that we have a lack of taqwa of Allah wa ta'ala. And there are many issues to be discussed in the world, but we know that we cannot solve all of the problems of the world. We're not superhuman. We're all human beings. We're everyday Muslims. But the least thing that we can do is have the taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal that is due for Him. Allah Azza wa Jal, He reminds us of this point. Attaqullah masatat. That we should have the consciousness of Allah to the best of our individual abilities. If we can do something to help the situation with our brothers and sisters who are suffering in Palestine, in the Gaza, or any of those areas, we should do whatever we can. We shouldn't be quiet about it. I'm not saying we should go and protest in the street because this is not the Sunnah. This is something which is not validated in the Quran or the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But today, inshallah, I want to remind us that we should never turn our blind eye or turn our backs to our Muslim brothers and sisters in Islam, no matter where they reside. At least we can say is Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil and make dua for them and try and direct other people to make dua for them, for their situation. Because what's going on, they're being oppressed. And dhulamat yawm al-qiyamah. Oppression is something which is darkness and day of judgment. So I want to remind myself and all of us that we should have taqwa of Allah wa ta'ala. We have issues in this city. We just have now passed a stage since a couple of years now. There was a serial killer on the loose in our city. And he was targeting people in the gay village, in the downtown area. A lot of Muslims say that's their problem. They deserve to get whatever they get. I don't understand and I don't agree with their choice of how they're living their lives. And it's something which does not coincide with our belief. There's issues which are taking place in the world where you have now a lot of women now who are stepping forward as imams and giving khutbahs in the United States, in places in India and in Pakistan. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. There are so many issues that are affecting the core of our belief as Muslims. There's debates right now taking place on whether women can be an imam or not. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. These are issues. But what are we going to do? We're going to discuss every single issue that's taking place around the world? No. As a khatib, we have a responsibility to remind each other of something which is valid, which is something of substance, which is something that we can take away to transform our lives. So, bi'idhnillah, I want to remind all of us that we should have more taqwa of Allah wa ta'ala. As Allah He is reminding us in many places in His book, and the Prophet ﷺ was reminding us in His Sunnah, in akramakum indallah atqakum, that the most pious of you in the eyes of Allah are those who have the highest level of taqwa. And this means that we are not valued in accordance to how much money we have, or how intelligent we are, or our certification. This does not validate us as a Muslim, but we are validated in the eyes of Allah by the level of our taqwa of Allah wa ta'ala. Whenever we hear about situations, we shouldn't right away accuse people of those things or whatever is going on, because a lot of humans are affected. A lot of humans in this city were affected. When that serial killer was going around killing people, and now they apprehended him, and he was burying them in various places of the city. cutting them up and burying them in various places of the city. In this city that we live in, some Muslims were also killed by this person. We can't say that they deserve to get what they get. They followed a certain lifestyle which is not conducive to our lifestyle, to our deen, but lakum dinakum waliya deen. We're not here to criticize a person's lifestyle choice. To them is their way and to us is our way. We have to remind each other. Allah Azza wa Jal says that we must remind each other of the importance of having taqwa. فَذَكِّرْ فِنَا ذِكْرَةً فَعَلْ مُؤْمِنِينَ Allah Azza wa Jal says, remind each other, because verily the reminder benefits the believers. And a lot of us become upset when we're reminded of these things. When we hear about situations, some of us become very insensitive. When we hear about situations that are happening in our community or around the world, or we react insensitively. And we remind them to say, brother, this isn't something that we should overreact about. They say, I don't care. This is not my problem. We have to remind each other to have a taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal. It does not make sense for us to just go all along living our personal life and we don't care about anybody else. This is not the way that we're supposed to live our lives as Muslimin, Mu'mineen, Muttaqeen. We have to remind each other. فَذَكِّرْ Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Dhariyat that we should remind each other. For verily the reminder will benefit those who are believers. And this is something which has been established in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal says in his book, وَلَقَدْ وَصَيْنَا الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ وَإِيَّاكُمْ أَنِ اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, that we have ordained this upon those people who have came before us, and also upon us, that we should have the taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is something which is a bedrock necessity for us to be a real, genuinely practicing Muslim. That we have to have taqwa and we have to enjoy taqwa on ourselves and on our families. In our family life, this is a necessary quality in our lives. We cannot turn a blind eye or turn our backs when we hear about situations that are happening in and around us. First and foremost, I want us to keep this one hadith in mind regarding our process of becoming one of the muttaqeen. This is a hadith which is sahih, and the third Abu Hurairah anhu. It's a hadith sahih, collected in Sahih Imam Muslim. And the third Abu Hurairah anhu, that he said that you heard the Prophet ﷺ say that, in Allah, la yunzuru illa suwarikum, wa la illa amwalikum, walakin yunzuru illa qulubikum af'alikum. That verily Allah Azza wa Jal does not look at our outside appearance. He does not look at our accumulation of wealth. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He looks to our hearts and our deeds. So, for starters, a practical way for us to become one of the muttaqun, those who practically implement taqwa in our lives, is that we must begin by avoiding or staying away from those things which are halal, so as not to fall into that which is haram. What does this mean? There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he says, ﷺ, Al-halal bayin, wal-haram bayin, wa baynahuma amur mutashabihat, la ya'lamuha kathir min an-nas. Ila akhir hadith. That the halal is clear and the haram is clear. And between the two, there is that gray area, which most people are unaware of. So what I'm referring to is that we shouldn't always look for an opportunity to better ourselves, but we should try and look for things that we have and try and stay within our parameters. We shouldn't always be on the lookout for things which can better us, even though they're halal, because there might be some gray area around that. We should try and live within our parameters and try and be people who are thankful to Allah Azza wa Jal. And one very practical way for us to do this, to accomplish this, is for us to control our speech. A lot of us, we talk too much. A lot of us, we talk unnecessarily. And we say things, as a result, we harm people. We abuse people. We speak about people in a wrong way, and we didn't know that we hurt that person's feelings until they stop answering our phone call or a text. We have to understand, Allah says, لا ينفذ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد. There isn't any word that comes out from our mouths except that there are two angels that are subscribing and writing down everything that we say. There are angels that are recording everything that comes out of our mouths. And from the hikmah of Luqman al-Hakim, he says, in kana kalam min fidda wa saqut min dhahab, that if speech were something of value like silver, then silence is golden. Subhanallah. Also, a very practical way for us to attain being one of the muttaqun is for us to control our eating habits. Because a lot of us, we eat and we drink uncontrollably. And as a result, we eat too much or we drink too much that we can't even stand up and we can't even walk. Remember the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the sons and daughters of Adam, they do not fill a container worse than their stomachs. We have to take care of what we're eating. Not only eating the halal and tayyib, but eating too much, excessively. Because this will lead to other harmful effects of the body, harmful evils in the society. We eat too much, then we start to sleep too much, we start to engage in excessive laughter and giggling. Why? Because we've already eaten too much and now we lost our senses. The Prophet ﷺ, he talked about this, excessive laughter and giggling. One day he came out into his masjid and he found his Sahaba there giggling and laughing. The Prophet ﷺ, he looked at them, he said, if you knew what I know, you would laugh less and cry more. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, كثرة الضحك تميت القلب. Too much laughter kills the hearts. This is halal. It's halal to eat. It's halal to drink. It's halal to engage in friendly conversation and laughter. But too much can be harmful. People will not respect you. People will not take you seriously. And all of this can lead to the death of our hearts. We have to understand that life is very short. And Allah, He's looking at us how we're living our lives. Allah, He's judging us according to how we live our lives, according to the level of taqwa that we apply in our daily lives. We have to understand that we might be able to do things because we're engaging in things which are halal. But there's a gray area. There's a gray area around that thing. And we know that there's a gray area around that thing. But still, we lust after it or we run after it because we feel that we can get away with that gray area. Or maybe we feel that we're smart enough, we're wise enough, or we're strong enough to get through the situation. We have to understand that one day we're going to stand in front of Allah. One day we're going to have to stand in front of Allah. And we're going to be asked about those things which we knew we should have not gotten involved in, which we could have easily avoided, but we just dove into it. Why? Because we're always looking to get a piece of the pie. We always want to get a piece of the action. We cannot just stay away from certain things because something might happen as a result. Because we know that there is something that doesn't seem right. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. If we smell something or something does not seem right, then we should avoid it. Because we might walk off the haram, as the Prophet ﷺ said. He says that we should avoid that amur mutashabihat, that doubtful area in between of that, what is halal and that which is haram. That doubtful area, avoid it. And then we'll preserve our Islam. We'll preserve our Islam and our honor. Because once the Islam is gone and our honor and dignity is gone, what else is left? And all of that could have been avoided if we just avoided that gray area in our lives. Allah says in his book, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la ta'kulu riba ad'afan mud'afan kathiran, wattaqullah, la'alakum tuflihun, wattaqu an-nar alladhi u'iddat lil kafirin. Sadaqallah. Allah says, O you who have attained faith, do not consume riba and pile up on top of multiplied on top of multiplication, and have the taqwa of Allah, so that perhaps we'll become successful. And fear the fire, ittaqun nar, that has been prepared for the disbelievers. Allahu Akbar. Many of us are doing well in our lives. Many of us have nice jobs, nice homes, nice families. But we are always looking for an opportunity which might bring harm to ourselves, which might bring harm to our families. But a lot of us are just selfishly thinking about ourselves and that opportunity that's in front of us. We have to understand that the hellfire is not a joke. It's a threat. Well, Allah Azza wa Jal, He has threatened those people with who always want to try and get into every little opportunity that they can. Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us in Surah Al-Rahman, هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. Allah Azza wa Jal says that this is the hell fire for those criminals who denied that they would fall into that situation. They will be going between the hellfire and this Hamim and An. So which of the favors and the blessings of Allah would we deny? Meaning that this place is a place for those people who denied that this thing would happen to them. They used to deny the existence of the hellfire. It's a nice story, but they used to deny it. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that when he went on that night journey, that he stood at the hellfire and he witnessed the hellfire and he's seen it. If we do not believe these things, then who are we going to believe? We're going to believe this worldly life, which is a deception, ghurura. This is a deception. This is a life of deception that we're going to prefer. And we're going to believe over Sadiq al-Masduq. When the Prophet ﷺ is here, he'll waqaf. He said he stood at the hellfire and he said, Ara'aytu. He said, I stood there and I seen the akthar ahl an-nar nisa. The majority of the inhabitants of the hellfire are women. Allahu Akbar. This is a very strong statement of the Prophet ﷺ. When he came back from Isra wa Miraj, he gathered the women and he gathered them and he spoke to them. He said, when I went up, I seen the akthar ahl an-nar nisa. That the majority of them are women. He said, what is our problem, Ya Rasulullah? What is our mistake? He said, Sallallahu do we disbelieve in Allah? Disbelief in Allah? No. No, that you're ungrateful to those people, those men specifically, who are looking after you, who are taking care of you and maintaining you. The Prophet ﷺ, he didn't just stop there, but he went on to elaborate. He says that if they do one thing that you dislike, you say to them, Ma ra'ayt khair min qat. That I've never ever seen any good in you ever. Allahu Akbar. This is the problem. A lot of our sisters, they need to be humble and they need to be thankful for what they have. They shouldn't be in the habit of when they go to other sisters' house, look at what they have and say that, oh, why don't you give me this or why don't you buy me like that, what those sisters have or what they have. We have to be careful. We have to be careful. Allah Azza wa Jal, He reminds us about the hellfire. And He reminds us, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ مَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which of the favors of Allah would you deny? Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed us with many things and in many ways. But because we're lustful after the life of this world. Oh, is it haram for me to get a new sofa? Or is it haram for me to get this? Or is it haram for me to get that? No, no one is saying that it's haram. But what's wrong with what you have? You only wanted it because after we left that person's house, now you say you want these things. We have to be careful, my dear brothers and sisters in Iman. We have to remind our sisters to not be deceived by the life of this world. This is Mata' Khalil, Allah Azza wa Jal says. This is a short stayed period of existence on this life, in this world. May Allah Azza wa Jal help all of us and give us the tawfiq to be real muttaqeen. Ameen. Bismillah. Salatu salam Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sallam huda wa ba'd. Many families, my dear Islam Iman, have been destroyed out of running after the fine things of this world. The things which are halal and tayyib, permissible. But because they didn't avoid that gray area, many families have been destroyed. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Nas'al al-afiyah wa salama. Ameen. Allah Azza wa Jal, He has reminded us in His book, Ya ayyuhalladhina aminu. Ya ayyuhalladhina aminu. O you who have attained faith. Allah Azza wa Jal is not addressing any and everybody. he's addressing a certain class of people. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara waquduha an-nas wal hijara. Allah says, "O you who have attained faith, save yourselves. Save yourselves. Protect yourselves and your families from the fire of hell, whose fuel is men and stones." Allahu Akbar. Allah gives a clear description. And there's many places in the Quran describing the fire. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us that we should ittaqun nar, that we should fear the fire even with half of a date. Ittaqun nar. If we cannot find even half a date, to do what? To eat? No, to give in charity. Give in charity. If we cannot find half a date to give in charity, then with a good word, kalimatin tayyib. If you cannot find a half a date to give in charity so as to protect you from the hellfire, then with a good word. Allahu Akbar. The people of Taqwa, my dear Salam Iman, are not an elite group. They're people like you and me. Any of us can stop eating so much, drinking so much, laughing and giggling, wasting time, wasting money on frivolous things when you can be given sadaqat. The Prophet ﷺ said, a sadaqat burhan, that charity is proof. Proof of what? Proof of your taqwa. Proof that you do not want to fall into the fire for accumulating wealth or wasting your wealth on things that you already have. We have so much, but yet we want to waste our money. We have so much, but yet we want to waste our time and our effort in speaking about things ma la ya'ani. من حسن الإسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعاني. From the good characteristics of the believers is that we leave those things which do not concern us. The problem is that we're involving in things without any haya. We're not talking about people who might have fell into something without understanding, or they fell into their desires. No, we're talking about those people who know and understand, but they're always in the habit of running after things, running down things, always wanting a piece of the action when those things could have been avoided. If you have a good position, you have a good job, you have a good wife, you have a good family, why do you want to try and spoil all of this? Because you see a window of opportunity to do something else. We have to understand that Jahannam, my dear Salam Iman, is for real. Allah He is reminding us about the hellfire in many places. Allah He says that, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Allahu Akbar. This is my advice for myself. This is my advice for all of you, that we should not just living a life without purpose. We should have a life of purpose. Our life isn't about just accumulating wealth and possessions of this mata'al hayat dunya, things of this life. And this life is going to end with death. So we have to prepare for the next life. As the Prophet said, even if with half a date, even with half a date, whatever we should do it with ikhlas, sincerity, and try and always keep in mind about the rights of people and people who might be in situations that they know that they shouldn't have been in, but it happened already, and we shouldn't judge them, and we shouldn't say that that's their problem. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Because anybody can be dragged into a situation that they didn't expect to be in. So we as individuals have to have the taqwa of Allah. May Allah help all of us and bless all of us and give us all the tawfiq to be of those who are muttaqeen, even if it's with half of a day. Ameen, ameen, ameen. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. قم الصلاة.